Good afternoon. Let's give a round of applause for the Sammamish Jazz Band. They were one of many recipients of a grant from the Bellevue Schools Foundation this year. And welcome to the first ever Spring for Schools movie premiere. Now you're all probably wondering who I am. I am the spirit of public education, but you can just call me Spirit for short. And I am so excited to share this film with you. You see, it's kind of a documentary about the work that I do in your community with students and teachers, and of course, the Bellevue Schools Foundation. But before we get started, let's set just a few classroom rules. Number one, please silence all electronic devices. We're good there, okay. 2, raise your hand to be called on before speaking. Now, I won't actually call on anyone, but it'll be funny to see you just raising your hands. 3, food is allowed in class, but please always chew with your mouth closed. And finally, please show respect for your classmates by listening while they speak. Okay, let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the Bellevue Schools Foundation, Juliet Buter.
Thank you, Spirit. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Spring for Schools 2022. I'm Juliet Buter, the Executive Director of the Bellevue Schools Foundation. For those of you who have come to one or more of our last 31 events, welcome back. And for those of you who are attending Spring for Schools for the first time, we'll stick together because it's my first one too. While we weren't quite sure what was in store for today, many months ago when planning began, it is such a beautiful sight to see over 500 supporters of the foundation in person here today. And for our additional guests tuning in from over 100 IP addresses in Bellevue and across the country, I'm personally a bit jealous you have the option to wear pajamas to a luncheon. I'm incredibly grateful for the warm welcome so many of you extended when I began my chapter here last June. It's an honor to lead an organization with an impact spanning 43 years. And I hope your time spent at our education showcase left you as inspired as I am about our programming. I'm committed to positioning the foundation so that we can continually pivot to meet the needs of the over 19,000 students in our district, now and in the years to come. You are in for an absolute treat today with the premiere of BSF's first movie production, School Spirit. I hope you laugh and learn, and that it creates the opportunity for you to consider how you would like to engage with the foundation moving forward. It happens to be my personal belief that short of magic, education is a supernatural force in our society. Today would not have been possible without the commitment of a few people I want to recognize. If you would please stand so we can take a moment to honor you, and if you wouldn't mind holding your applause. My 4 BSF staff colleagues. Susan Ishii Yin, our Spring for Schools chair, and our entire Spring for Schools committee. Allison Frey, the president of our board and all of our trustees. Please stand, please stand. Our table captains and all our committee members and volunteers. Thank you all. It's now my pleasure to introduce BSF trustee and past president, Kimberly Walker, who will share a special announcement and preview prior to the start of the movie.
Thank you, Juliet. It is an honor for me to share a very special announcement with the community today, and one that has a great deal of personal significance for me as a Bellevue Schools Foundation trustee and an Amazon employee. I am also the proud mother of a 2018 Interlake High School graduate. And I understand the tremendous impact that each educator has had on my daughter's life. I am pleased to share that the Bellevue Schools Foundation has been awarded a $250,000 grant from Amazon's Housing Equity Fund to explore the feasibility of workforce housing in support of the Bellevue School District. As the population of Bellevue continues to grow, in identifying viable workforce housing options for Bellevue School District employees will help the district attract and retain a diversified, highly qualified workforce. As you know, the Bellevue School District serves over 19,000 students enrolled in 30 schools with 104 languages spoken and 41.2% of students speaking a first language other than English. Bellevue Schools Foundation is committed to expanding funding for racial equity and amplifying the diverse voices and strengths of students and families within the Bellevue community. Our educators are a significant part of this equation. The study will be the first step to identifying needs, gaps, and solutions. As part of this effort, we will survey Bellevue School District employees on housing priorities and challenges, research how other school districts are creating workforce housing, and explore potential sites and financing structures. The foundation looks forward to reviewing the data-driven conclusions and potential next steps in collaboration with our leaders at the district. In a moment, you will have a chance to learn more about Amazon's commitment to housing equity in a preview prior to the premiere of School Spirit. As a foundation trustee, I'm taking this opportunity to encourage my corporate colleagues to support the foundation in different and creative ways to meet our students' needs in 2022 and beyond. We all benefit from world-class education offered right here in our community. So let's take on the challenge to go above and beyond our current commitments as corporate champions and make a significant impact on education through our donations to the Bellevue Schools Foundation. Roll the tape.
We've seen rapid ramp up in the cost of housing.
People are simply priced out of the market. For lower income families, they are worried, they are tense.
Amazon's Housing Equity Fund is our $2 billion commitment to creating or preserving 20,000 affordable housing units in 3 of our hometown communities: Puget Sound, Arlington, Washington, D.C., and Nashville regions.
The focus of the Amazon Housing Equity Fund of coming in to preserve the affordability levels that are still there before rents are pushed beyond the reach of lower income people is really an incredibly efficient, fast way to make sure the region remains affordable.
Renting apartments was not affordable for me. It was a challenge. So the program gives me a good work-life balance. And it's not like I'm working just to pay my rent.
Since Amazon came, there's been an increase in diversity at the community. People that weren't able to live here before are now able to take advantage of all Arlington has to offer. So now they're able to spend funds in other aspects of their life. They have a whole stress lifted off of them.
And there's an exit off of Route 50 that delivers you right to the door.
Yep.
It's important to us to not just build housing, but build communities, and to build communities around transit that are inclusive for all people.
One thing about this area I like is the convenience. The metro is like 2 minutes from where I live.
How can we support a household, particularly a lower income household, in all of those needs using public transit as a way to connect to employment, healthy food sources, educational opportunities?
It is important for a community to reflect its diversity. And with the Amazon Housing Equity Fund, we're able to equip more developers of color.
Through our accelerator program, we're supporting emerging minority developers doing great work in the affordable housing space. by providing them with training, mentorship, and access to capital to accelerate those projects.
This is really community development at its core, and it's something that really is helping to create jobs and build wealth and retain that wealth within the community.
These affordable housing projects are not just about brick and mortar, they're about people.
All right, it's time, and I am so excited. I don't think I mentioned this, but it's actually an international premiere. We might have people joining us online from Mexico and Japan. So grab that candy and popcorn or the entree salad that y'all are eating and show us that school spirit.
Hey, Edward, got a minute?
One.
I was wondering if maybe you would consider donating to the Bellevue Schools Foundation, you know, for their Spring for Schools fundraising event tomorrow.
Please, Mrs. Scrooge, it would help me.
Who is this?
It's Bring Your Child to Work Day. This is my daughter, Tina.
Doesn't the Bellevue School Foundation already donate to public schools?
It does. It's one of the oldest private foundations for public schools in the country.
Public education doesn't need any more funding. They get enough from my taxes.
Okay, well, if you change your mind, come on, Tina, let's go.
Why is he so grouchy? Does he need a hug?
I love your heart, Tina. Come on.
Who are you?
I'm the spirit of public education. Listen, you're kind of stuck with me for the night. So if I can just have you put your learning cap on, this will all go by a lot quicker and I can get back to binge watching my cooking shows. Okay?
How did you get into my office?
Edward Medovius Scrooge. You are what we call in the spirit world a miser. And I am here to save you before it's too late.
I've been called worse.
Before dawn, you will see public education, past, present, and future. And then you must make a choice.
I choose not to see.
Silence!
Raise your hand to be called on before speaking. Get in.
That's a toy.
Like this. Welcome to my classroom. Now, when you were in school, public education was funded almost exclusively by local tax dollars, but the state put a lid on that funding in the 1970s.
Good.
So in 1979, community leaders got together to form the Bellevue Schools Foundation. They saw that public money would fall short of students' actual needs and private funding was necessary in order to fund the demands of the future.
Boo.
This isn't just about taxes or fundraising, Mr. Scrooge. In fact, it's not really about money at all. It's always been about the high quality programming that leads to the best possible learning outcomes. The Bellevue Schools Foundation funds programs that have been legendary in the community, like the first accessible playground in Washington, Project Discovery Science Kits, Vibes Mentors, National Board Certification for Teachers, college and career readiness software. I mean, they have been helping students thrive for over 40 years. Pretty inspiring, huh?
Meh.
All right, enough history. Let's check out Education Present.
Shouldn't that be a DeLorean? Get it? Back to the, you didn't move.
We're in the present now.
How can you tell? Oh, if these are your production values, you really do need the money.
Today, the Bellevue School District is funded by federal and state funds, levies, bonds, and the Bellevue Schools Foundation.
Sounds like they already have enough money. I mean, It is Bellevue, after all, super wealthy.
Well, each of those funding sources have their limits. I mean, federal and state funds can only go to certain things. Bonds really only fund buildings. Levies fund extras, which most people would consider essentials, like a school nurse or 7-period school days. I mean, each of those funding sources has their purpose. And as for being wealthy, the district's actually pretty diverse socioeconomically. 17% of students qualify for a free or reduced school lunch.
Oh, what about PTSAs? I mean, parents raise private funds already.
Good question. I love to see the engagement in your learning, Mr. Scrooge. All 29 schools in the district do have a PTSA, and they raise funds, but only for their own schools, one at a time. The Bellevue Schools Foundation raises funds for the entire district, all 29 schools at once. Would you like to see some of those programs?
No,
What if I told you it includes robots?
no.
Well, this story hits pretty close to home, or in your case, work.
How so?
Thanks for asking. Bobby's daughter, Tina, she went to preschool in the district 4 years ago for free.
I thought public schools were free.
Not preschool. And Bobby couldn't afford it back then, before she got the office next to you.
I didn't know that.
The Bellevue Schools Foundation supports low-income families by providing free preschool tuition. And students that go to preschool have all kinds of benefits later in life, from better health to higher wages. This was an important first step for Tina. Let's have Megan tell us more.
My name is Megan James, and I am the early learning curriculum developer. So we make sure that we are really focusing this year on student well-being. And when I say student well-being, I also mean family well-being. Many of our families come to our programs and they need more than just a teacher. They need wraparound services. They need help with access to sufficient housing, sufficient health care. So our teachers are specifically trained not just to educate the students while they're in the classroom, but they're also work with families to make sure that they have everything they need to have a successful home environment for our students. We do what's called blended funding in our program. So some students might be paid partially through special education. So they receive state funds. Then that only funds them for half a day. So the funding we are able to get through outside sources, such as Bellevue Schools Foundation, helps us allow students to attend a full day, where before they were only able to attend half a day. Now with this additional funding, we can serve students for an entire day, and they can get more education than what 2.5 hours could service. So if we weren't receiving the funds from Bellevue Schools Foundation, there would be a large gap in the students that we're missing. We have the families who can afford to pay for private preschool, the families who receive state assistance, then we have all these families in the middle. And as we know, these families are still struggling in our community. So by Bellevue Schools Foundation providing funds so we can have a tuition assistance program in our preschool, it allows more families to access what I think is the best preschool in the area.
Thanks, Megan.
You're welcome, Spirit.
And that's just one of several programs sponsored by the Bellevue Schools Foundation. They also sponsor mental health, computer science, culturally responsive libraries, a BIPOC-oriented mentorship program, and national certification for teachers.
And these programs are throughout the whole district.
Yeah, all 29 schools in the district, depending on grade level. But teachers can also apply for smaller grants that are for just a few schools or one school. And those are the Inspiration and Incubation Grants and the Arts Enrichment and Innovation Grants.
This is making my head spin.
I know, right? So much philanthropy. See?
Reading, that's not funded by my taxes.
This isn't just reading. This is a culturally responsive classroom library.
What does that mean?
Let's ask them.
My name is Jennifer Sun, and I teach 4th grade here at Sherwood Forest Elementary School in Bellevue. A culturally responsive library is one where students can see themselves reflected, but they can also peek into the lives of other kids. So definitely a place where you would be able to find reflections of your own identity, whether that's your culture or your language, being part of the LGBTQA+ community, all of those things that make students special.
I like it because it actually has Black people in it too, which is like a reflection to me too. I like the library because on the shelf I can see like it's African Americans, Asians, and a bunch of other cultures. I'm reading this book called The Undefeated. It's about how like people of color like made a difference in the world.
The joy of finding yourself in a book, the joy of seeing yourself represented, the joy of knowing that you are worthy of being in a story is something that every student should be able to experience. I also think kids should know that the world goes beyond what their own family is like. So the joy of finding out about someone else who's similar to you and also different should definitely be part of it. I think one reason why culturally responsive libraries are so important is because every student really deserves to feel like they belong in a community. And when we just look at the publishing industry, even as recently as 2019, I think there were more books published about trucks, animals, than there were where kids of color were centered as main characters. So if we were just to default and buy the easiest books that we could find, on the shelf, we probably would end up with a library that would just perpetuate that lack of representation. So it's really important for us as a district to be very intentional. So one student who particularly connected with a book was a student who noticed one day that a book we were reading was about a biracial kid. And he suddenly said, wait, I think that kid is just like me. I think he's white and Black on the inside. So that was really exciting. I don't think he had noticed that kind of representation in a book before. And he was so excited. He didn't raise his hand. He just shouted it out. It was a very joyful moment. I would just like to thank the Bellevue Schools Foundation and everyone who donated generously to make these libraries possible. I think we are seeing a huge impact right now, but I truly believe that that impact will only grow and will be more significant as these kids grow up. That feeling of not belonging or belonging is something you carry with you the rest of your life. And I think the seeds that we're planting right now with these libraries is incredibly important.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome, Spirit.
Pretty cool, right?
All right, that's enough. Take me back to my office.
I mean, technically we never left. Is your dream?
More like a nightmare.
Come on. Let's check out middle school.
Definitely a nightmare.
Well, if you really want to get back to work, these students can help.
My name is Yusra Baid, and I'm the STEM curriculum developer in Bellevue School District, supporting secondary. The computer will only do what you tell it to do, right? Be in that productive struggle around what do I need to do in a way to make this robot move, but at the same time, what are some science concepts that I need to keep in mind? Because sometimes when you propose a solution, that proposes or the idea brings out more problems, right? So there's a lot of really complex ideas that they're tackled with and engaging in a productive struggle. And I need to program it in a way that does a specific goal. So that's kind of the computer science. There's also a skill and goal that we want kids to learn to work together collaboratively to solve a problem. We're hoping that this unit can continue to expand further to have kids, now that you've used this robot to solve this problem, what kind of problems do you envision to want to maybe use this robot to solve? It might not be about a fault that may be local to your community or something that you feel is really important that in the future we're going to maybe need to use robots to do.
The most fun is just that little box where it shows you all the actions. I think it looks cool. It's like my type of design. Once you press play, it will animate what you're doing. I know it looks fun, so I could be doing it someday.
We're trying to increase access to computer science in general on skills. We've been seeing nationwide trends around, gaps around racial and gender, just about who's interested and who's doing that work. And we see that even, within our school district. And we're trying to rewrite this narrative or change students' perception of what does it actually mean to be a computer scientist.
So it's kind of like a little game
but also teaches us at the same time.
So I am trying a new one, but I get to draw, and then I think what it's gonna do is gonna do what I just drew on the thing. I'm not sure.
So let's just start it. Oh, it's working very slowly.
Has this made you more interested in coding?
Yes. It's a lot of fun doing it.
I think one of the really important things that makes this work possible in this program and just all the great things that you're seeing students do is really our partnership with BSF. I think none of this work would be possible with the amount of support that we get from BSF. We were able to purchase the robots, develop this curriculum in this unit, train our teachers, and support them in taking something that's so different and innovative. And I don't think we would have been able to accomplish that without that partnership. So we really appreciate that partnership.
Thanks, Yusra.
Thank you, Spirit.
Wish we had that when I was in middle school. Where are we going now?
To speak with a high school counselor. The Bellevue Schools Foundation sponsors mental health and the Signs of Suicide program that has screened thousands of students this year.
Hace un año, una persona, no éramos tan cercanas, pero me importaba mucho. Esa persona decidió terminar con su vida. No me podía levantar. No podía ni siquiera prender el teléfono para entrar a clases porque era en línea. Y reprobé muchas materias porque no podía. Y la escuela fue muy difícil para mí porque tenía tanta guerra en mi cabeza.
And my first response was obviously to say, hey, like, I think these are things we should talk about, and therapy is really, really helpful. And I know she's had some experience with therapy back in Mexico, and she was like, yeah, sometimes that was helpful. So I was like, we do that here, and it's for free. And if you feel comfortable talking with me, like, we can do that here. And she was like, yeah, I think I need to deal with this, and that's where I was like, yes, because I can tell that she really wanted to get out of this dark hole. And she's like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to think that my life is going to end at like 16 or 17. Like, I want to live past this. So I think that's what I was like, all right, we're gonna do the work. And she said, I'm gonna do the work. And that was kind of my response to her. Gave her a consent form. She brought it back like the next day. She was like, here you go. And so I was like, you're ready. I'm ready. Let's go. Okay, ¿te acuerdas cuando te estaba tomando tus medidas? Y la primera medida que tomé, todo estaba clínico, ¿verdad?
Es verdad.
Que te querías morir. Y luego creo que hubo la siguiente vez que las tomaste. Y la última pregunta dice, ¿has pensado en no querer morir, en no estar aquí? Está bien. Pero sí, yo creo que para mí, como terapeuta, ese fue el momento que yo vi en ti que, oh my God, que tú realizaste tú mismo el esfuerzo que habías puesto. Y todo lo que habías hecho, que te quedaste en shock. Dijiste, oh my God, Ruth, no me quiero morir.
Sí,
Like, así me
dije
no
eso.
me quiero morir.
Dije eso. Estaba en automático otra vez. Estaba en automático antes y ahorita trato de siempre tener los pies bien en la tierra. Y en los momentos que me siento mal, digo, ok, ahorita me siento mal, me voy a sentir mal. Y está bien, me voy a escuchar, voy a dejar que pase. Tengo que sentir esto, tengo que vivirlo porque estoy viva. Yo también voy a llorar. Estoy viva, entonces tiene que pasar. Después de un rato, sé que me voy a sentir mejor. Pasa y otra vez seguimos. Exactamente. Cuando sientes, te das cuenta de que estás vivo.
Yeah, just like when
You
you
have to
feel all of it, you're alive.
Tienes el poder de cambiar personas. Y yo sé que me vas a decir como, tú no lo haces. Que me gustaría decir que a las personas que están pasando por esto, si necesitan ayuda,
búsquenla, porque está bien necesitar ayuda y no siempre vamos a poder solos. Muchas veces vamos a necesitar ayuda. Quiero seguir y seguir porque ahora cuando me preguntan si quiero hacer algo en el futuro, quiero ayudar, quiero ser una psicóloga. Entonces, eso es básicamente lo que estoy buscando. Conocerme a mí, conocer la vida, pelear.
Thanks, Ruth and Rosie.
That program seems really important. I mean, they all kind of do.
Yeah. Do you see why we need the Bellevue Schools Foundation?
Oh, I appreciate the grand tour. But I'm not a teacher or a parent. You know, this isn't my business.
Not your business.
What happened?
You keep talking about your business. This is your business, or rather, the end of your business. Without great schools providing a great workforce that wants what your employer provides, business dried up.
Tell me this is a joke.
Not this time.
Bye, Mr. Scrooge.
It gets worse. Do you know what will happen to tiny Tina if the Bellevue Schools Foundation doesn't get the funding it needs to continue its programs?
Did she die?
Nah, gotcha. But her dreams die.
Come on. What? She won't get the computer science education and the mental health assistance she needs. So she'll drop out of high school, get a minimum wage job, and not have children because she can't afford them. Oh, and not solve the climate crisis. And democracy will fail.
Actually, yeah. There's a domino effect, Scrooge. And it all comes back to the choices we make for our futures and the futures of people we may never meet. Kids like Tina. So what choice do you want to make, Scrooge? Do you still think this isn't your business?
Tina?
Tina.
Bobby.
Edward, what are you still doing here?
It's too late to give.
Give?
To the schools. Bobby, to the schools.
It's never too late to give. In fact, we're going to the Bellevue Schools Foundation event today.
Would you like to come?
I would love to.
Yay!
Bacon carful.
Oh, did you know the Bellevue School Foundation sponsors computer science and business programs like BizTown? Wow. Oh, and mental health. It's so important.
Hello. I know. I put the fun in fundraiser. You're all very welcome. You're all welcome. No, but seriously, as I said to Scrooge earlier, the choices we make do have a domino effect on our future and the futures of others. We have all had a challenging past few years, and it can be easy to get a little cynical or kind of apathetic, sort of like Scrooge was before he got on the school bus. And let's be honest, public education has taken a bit of a beating recently, but education is not the problem. It is the solution to our problems. You all just met a handful of truly amazing students and educators in Bellevue, and there are so many stories that we just did not have the time to tell. Everything you saw today was supported by the more than $800,000 in funding from the Bellevue Schools Foundation this year. We need public education, we need these programs, and we need your support. So I am asking you to show your school spirit by giving generously now. So you can scan the QR code, or you can fill out the pledge forms that your table captains are now distributing. And please take your time. I will come around and check your work. So be prepared. All right, how are we doing? You guys win best, most sparkly table. Hands down, it's no contest. I love it. I love it. You guys good over here? Nobody broke into the candy? No candy open anywhere. Unbelievable. We'll take some home. Raisinets, Milk Duds. No candy here. No cupcakes even. I might take one of your cupcakes later. Oh, it doesn't want me over there. Okay. We doing good? All set? Okay, good, good, good. How's my table doing? You're online? Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Am I just waiting for you?
Are we perusing? Are we walking? Are we perusing?
Do you want me to keep? You want me to keep doing that? It doesn't feel like you.
Yeah. We'll mosey on back.
Okay. Should I jump up there?
Michael, do you want Liz to go back up on stage?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, while you guys are finishing up those gifts, I would like to invite some of the stars from our film to come up for a little bit of what I'm calling Inside the Educator's Studio. Now that is original, I just came up with that. And I would also like to invite up the development director of the Bellevue Schools Foundation, Michael Smith.
Thank you, Spirit.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'd like to invite some of the stars from our film to come up here. Megan James, Yusra Obaid, Hannah Walensky, and Ruth Rosas. She over there? Great. And Rosie. So come on this way a little bit more. All right, so Spirit, I'm going to let you go ahead and start us off.
Sure, I'd love to. Hi, Megan. It's nice to meet you in person. In the film, you were telling us a little bit about how preschools can benefit from diverse funding models that can create more inclusive environments. So can you tell us about other ways that you create inclusive environments in preschools within the district?
Yes, great question. Thank you, Spirit. Here in Bellevue, in our early learning department, we believe very strongly in that students learn in our classroom best when they're learning with their peers. We have students in our program who are receiving special ed services and have IEPs. We have students who are experiencing homelessness and inconsistent housing. We have students who are multi-language learners as well. And in our program, we really believe that students learn best when they're learning together. We provide our educators and our teachers the best training and resources to teach these students in one classroom all together. We make sure that our teachers are individualizing learning for all of the students in the classroom to really meet their specific need, as well as the needs of their families. In our program, we really help make sure that all students sparkle.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, well, here's a question for Yusra and Hannah, and thank you both for being here today. Really appreciate it. I was glad that I was able to come and see what you were doing with the robots, but one of the things we didn't really have time to explain in the film was how those robots actually related to that map and how it related to another science concept or unit essentially related to coral. So it wasn't just about computer science, it was also about environmental science.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And I'll let Hannah answer that for a little bit. But basically, everything we try to do is we want to make sure that it's relevant, it's real, and it's authentic. And so we try to bring the robots in because of the reality that the decline in coral reef in Hawaii is a real problem. And marine biologists and AI scientists are actually collaborating to propose a possible solution. And because coral is such an important organism, it's also very fragile. So if we were not going to use robots, then it would take a lot of humanly hours, and they're so fragile they would be damaged. So one of the possible solutions that was proposed is, can we have robots actually program and transplant coral to save the coral? And so what we try to do is bring that real authentic problem to our students and say, could you use those robots on this, terrain, hypothetical terrain, to incorporate some of the learning you learned in science class around the importance of ecosystem dynamics, and then at the same time use programming to try to transplant coral to solve the issue here. So this is exactly what we want our kids to be thinking about, to be future problem solvers for real, authentic problem situations that we have going on right now. I know.
Thank you. While we were learning about coral reefs, we were also learning how to move the robots while using our computers. This helped us while we were programming on our, while coding on our computers, it was moving the robot while we were using it. So yeah.
Thank you both. So Ruth and Rosie, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it, and appreciate the opportunity to get to know you a little bit in the filmmaking process as well. Ruth, I wanted to start off with you and say, thanks to both of you for being willing to share this story, because I think it's very important right now. And I know that the district finds it very important right now, but as an MCAT counselor, do you have anything that you in particular want the community to know about mental health in our schools right now?
Certainly, and thank you everyone for having us and honoring us. I think my biggest message to the community about mental health is that while we've made some really great strides moving forward, normalizing things like depression, anxiety, unfortunately, there's still a lot of stigma when it comes to asking for help. And as we can see, students really benefit from asking for help. And so I would love to see that be a little bit more normalized. And we don't really have to wait until we're in a crisis to say, I need some assistance right now. I know that we all got to where we were, somebody helped us along the way. And just like we are preventative with our physical health, we go to the doctor, we get physicals, we get checkups, we should treat mental health in that same vein, because mental health, again, doesn't have to just come when we're in a crisis. It could also be preventative. And that's the work that we do with students. We give them those skills because there's always going to be stressors in life, whether it's in school, relationships, work. And what we teach the students is how do you manage those stressors? How do you manage yourself? If you are struggling with anxiety or depression, what are the things that you can do to feel better and be successful in the face of struggle, of stressors? And so that's really what the big message to the community about mental health is. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Rosie. So one of the things that I didn't have an opportunity to fit in to the film as well, and we spent some time talking to you about it, is, you know, there were many things that you had talked to us about that you did that were helpful for you over the course of this year. But one of those things was your experience in wrestling. And so I thought it would be great to have you share some of that experience with our audience here today.
So, well, my English is not the best, but I'm trying. I got here like 8 months ago, and joining the wrestling team was one of the best things I ever did, because it became like a family for me. My coaches they cared about me. They helped me. They taught me that it's okay to lose. It's okay to fail. It's okay. You just have to get up and keep going. So that's something that I start to apply in all of the ways, like all the ways of my life. And sorry, I'm really nervous. I just love wrestling. You have to join the team. Yeah, please come and watch our matches. We don't have so many people. So. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause to all of our educators and students.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Well, this is my first year at the Bellevue Schools Foundation as a development director. And the process of making this film was very transformational for me. It was a wonderful opportunity to get to know the district and to get to know the programs that are sponsored by our foundation. And I've worked in education for 15 years and was deeply inspired by what I saw. There's great educators and amazing students in this district who are really working hard through very difficult challenges, and the kind of learning that's going on and the kind of social emotional support was very inspiring to me. So I felt lucky to have an opportunity to make this film. And I also want you to know that our grantees are very grateful of the support that you provide for them. Every single one of them, we didn't ask them, please say thank you to the Bellevue Schools Foundation. That was spontaneous. They said, can we say thank you? I said, yes, please do, that's great. But it is heartfelt throughout our community and throughout our school district, the support that you are providing for these programs. So thank you for that. And please know that what you're doing does make a huge difference in the lives of our students. So I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize some of our corporate sponsors who gave at the valedictorian level. And that includes the Bellevue Collection, Cadence 3, Cornerstone General Contractors, Overlake Medical Center, SMA Architects, and SPE West. Thank you very much for that support. And also those who gave at our innovator level, Amazon and Microsoft. It was a real pleasure to meet the actual spirit of public education, I have to say. So I want to bring her back up on stage one more time. This is Liz Pleasant, AKA Spirit of Education. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My
Really
pleasure.
appreciated working with you, and thank
Of
you for
course.
being here today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. Well, by the way, if you would like to see the movie again, or you know someone who hasn't seen it who would like to see it, we are doing an encore presentation, and that is going to be 6:30 this coming Friday, May 20th at Newport High School. So you're welcome to come out for that again. That's it for our program, but please do stay if you'd like to listen. We're going to have the Sammamish Jazz Band play us out. Thank you all very much.